Well, today the mainstream media did something that I have to commend them for. Every so often they do it. And Kristen Welker did something today. Doug Burgum, who came on Meet the Press to defend Donald Trump and to defend him against the Puerto Rican garbage comment from one of his supporters, came on and he pointed out that he instead of concentrating on what the guy did, he brought up what Biden had to say, even though Biden clearly was saying something different than what actually the Republicans are claiming that he said. Well, it turns out, however, that Welker had the tape queued and ready as soon as he brought it up to show, wait a minute, if you're assuming that Biden is saying this about Donald Trump's people, meaning it is so bad for Biden to have called his supporters, meaning the supporters of Donald Trump, garbage, which he didn't, but assuming that he did, what about Donald Trump actually saying it? And she plays the tape. Listen to this and listen to his response. I went ahead and left his rambling response in because it just shows how they change the subject whenever they get caught. And they feel no remorse in changing the subject, even as what they're saying. What they are talking is garbage. Listen to this and we'll take it on the other side.
And then, of course, as you reported earlier today, what a comic that no one's ever heard of says something versus the president of the United States calling half the voters in the country garbage, President Biden. I mean, I think this shows two things. One, it's the disrespect of this administration for Americans and their concerns, whether it's the border, whether it's inflation, but it also reflects what we've seen is that that Vice President Harris was part of this cover-up of Joe Biden's capacity.
Well, speaking of that, Governor, former President Trump had this to say back in September on that point about garbage. Listen.
It's not her. It's the people that surround her. They're scum. They're scum. And they want to take down our country. They are absolute garbage.
So, Governor, is it hypocritical to fixate on President Biden's comments, considering Donald Trump used the word garbage to describe Kamala Harris's supporters?
Well, I think what we're seeing here again this week, and whether the parsing of comments from the last 7 days is not what's going to determine the election. I mean, I would be thrilled to be on this show talking about the fact that North Korea is sending, troops to Ukraine, that Israel's getting ready to confront Iran over their nuclear weapon. But this is American politics, and this is the season of the last week before election. There's always a lot of name calling in the last week. This has all happened before, but I think in the end of the day, the voters are going to make a decision about their own condition, and people telling them what they should be enraged about because he or she said this thing is not the same as a person's lived experience. If their lived experience is they're having trouble making their paycheck pay for their food, their gas, their clothing, their rent, or their mortgage payment, that outweighs in the end. The economy is what's going to drive voters on Tuesday, not what somebody may or may not have said. Most Americans don't have time to listen to all of these the soap opera of which comments people should be concerned about.
So there you go. I mean, she had it ready. He got caught, and he then immediately changes the subject. Look, folks, this vote is going to hurt Donald Trump, and it probably allowed or will allow Kamala Harris to win Pennsylvania at a larger clip than she would have otherwise win it. It'll probably also put places like Florida in play when we talk about, I think it's the I-95 corridor, not the I-95 corridor, one of those corridors where you have a whole lot of Puerto Ricans living. And the thing about it is, while the big issue was that comedian calling the Puerto Rico the garbage island or the floating garbage in the sea or whatever he said, what he said about Latinos in general was even more offensive when he'd speak to them as if they were breeding rabbits or something like that. Oh, I mean, it was simply offensive. And the thing about it is that was not the sole offensiveness in that meeting. We had Rudy Giuliani going out there and really dogging, the Muslim community, specifically the Palestinians. He really dehumanized them. That was when people called Donald Trump's rally then a Nazi rally, the one at the Madison Square Garden. That is exactly what it was. He attacked just about everybody, belittled women. It was simply a disaster. And while, many would say, well, he's not going to lose the election because of what occurred at the Madison Square Garden, because again, the Madison Square Garden, most people didn't see it. They forget social media. Everybody knows about it. I remember that morning waking up to my daughter bringing me a TikTok. Did you see this? It's like, yep, that's how they really feel. And for those who are saying, well, that was a comedian, that wasn't Donald Trump or his campaign. Remember, all of those people up there had that teleprompter. They were all scripted. That was a part of the script. Don't be fooled. That is who they are. That is who they have always been. And that is why on Tuesday, assuming everybody vote as they should, this should be a good night, a very, very good night for progressives.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.